Umi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are ya?
I'm just a young, discernible woman out here trying to get a nanny job.
I'm just a gay straight guy here to get a nanny job and then also get Fran topless up in her room.
Oh my God. We might have something relatable to this week's episode.
Oh, look at that.
Look at them tatas. We got to see a lot of Fran Drescher today.
Yeah. Did you see the thing I tagged you in on Facebook?
Yes. Oh my God. That was so cute.
It was so cute. It is like such a reminder though that first of all, Fran looks amazing.
Oh yeah. So good.
And Renee Taylor, who played Sylvia, is gotta be in her 80s, like late 80s, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
And she was still like, oh, like
yeah,
I don't know.
She's still giving face.
Yes, facial expressions. I loved it. It was so good. It was so cute.
Yes, it was so adorable. But welcome everyone. This is Hot Mess Moments.
So hot, such a mess, such a moment.
I hate that you've made that a thing. But welcome on in, everyone. This is our podcast where we talk about basically whatever fucking topics we want. But lately we've been on this binge of watching The Nanny and Lost. Which, of course, Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny before.
And I'm Beth Dixon. I've never seen Lost before, but The Nanny's my all-time favorite show.
Yeah, and so we decided to make a podcast about that where every single week we review multiple different episodes of these shows. We give a recap or a review, all of which are spoiler-free. So
don't come at me with them spoilers about Lost.
Oh yeah, you'll want to avoid those like the plague. But
it's been hard.
Yes, and it's gonna get, I think, even harder later into it. Like, because I'm gonna spoil you on that. Just kidding. I had to take a yawn.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like right now you were going to spoil me.
Yeah, I'm gonna spoil you right now. So Fran Drescher shows up on the island, and she thinks Jack's gay. And they end up.
I'm not gonna lie. I immediately thought Jack from Will and Grace. I was like, he is gay. Oh wait, Jack from Lost. That makes more sense because you're talking about the island that Lost is on.
Yes. Wait. Speaking of which, before we get into this episode, I need to know, how has your week been?
Busy. I took the subway today for the first time since before I got a cold in December. And I got a cold around like the 9th or 10th of December, right?
Oh, wow. So it's been a while.
So it's been a hot moment. I don't want to go back on that subway. I don't.
Is it packed still?
It's not that it's packed. It's that I'm just... Winter is the time when the homeless population has to like go into the subway platforms and such. And I do what I can to help homeless population and my small acts when I feel safe and secure to do so. I do that. And what's happening now is in the middle of COVID, you're in these, tubes where like your particles could be up there for a long time. You're also dealing with people, not just the homeless population, but just people in general are like not doing well mentally. And, it's like, this is a free audience and this is nothing new, but the subway's gotten real sketch. And I'm more concerned about the COVID of it all.
Yeah.
I've always been able to handle like, oh, here's another person just getting in my face and like whatever.
Jesus.
But nobody who does these tirades and yelling and stuff is wearing a mask. And so now they're getting up in like people's faces and being like, why aren't you doing what you need to like? I mean, I had that happen on the way up. And then on the way back, I had a woman who went, where do I get the F train? And then she's like, looked frantic and looked like really scared. And I was like, oh, you can get off at the next stop. You have to walk 2 blocks, but it's a free transfer. And she's like, I don't want to walk. And I was like, okay, well, that's how you get the F train unless you want to be on it for about 12 more stops. So eventually, which is where I was getting off. So then she went, you're going to take me to the F train? And I went, No, but I'll tell you where you're going to get off at Bleecker Street. So she like sat there, and this was, I'm trying to help somebody, but she just like literally just zapped me. So long story long, I eventually get her to the right train, but then I'm like, I'm getting on the other end of the platform because this woman's not wearing a mask. And for the past 30 minutes has been like, what street do we get off on? And then like, when I'm in Brooklyn, where do I go? And I'm like, oh my God, like I signed on to try to get you off at the next one.
Yeah.
When she was like, she didn't appear like unstable or anything. Especially when she first asked, it literally just looked like I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, oh, I'll help. And then it just became like, oh, I think you're on something and like, it just was sad. But it was also like, if I get COVID, it was purely because of my subway adventures today. And I have to go back on the subway on Wednesday. And I'm like, no.
Oh my God. I used to take the subway / train all the time when I was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I used to think it was pretty shitty. Like it's not the best subway, let's be real.
The BART?
San Francisco. The BART, yeah. But then I took the subway in New York and I was like, honey, give me the BART any day.
Girl,
like
they be wilding in these New York City streets.
Holy shit.
Do you remember, Dylan, you were fully there with me when there was a guy who was yelling obscenities at the end of a platform. And then we looked over and he fully just started smoking out of a crack pipe and like looked like he was going to start charging people. And I was like, why don't we move down a little bit just away?
Yeah.
And then he got on the train with the crack pipe. And I'm just sitting back and I was like, thank God we aren't in that car. Oh my God.
Dude, it was crazy. And what's even crazier about that entire situation is it's so normalized now, and like people that take like public transportation like that you just kind of ignore and just like do your own thing.
Yeah.
I remember another really bad situation I had was in London. I think when we took the London Eye, and that was pretty crazy too.
The London Eye?
Or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called?
The Ferris wheel?
Not the London Eye, I'm sorry. I thought that was the name of the underground or whatever it's called.
The tube.
The tube. I remember there being some.
Like, hold on. The London Eye is the giant Ferris wheel on the tips. And I was like, don't they just put you in with your party and that's it? I was like, way to call out your husband.
I love that that's just like a form of public transport. It'll take you exactly where you left off
at the top. Depending on how far you have to go, depends on how far of a circle you go before you get launched. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so the tube.
The tube, yes.
Yeah.
I had some shady situations there.
Same.
What was the one? Washington, D.C.'s wasn't too bad when I went, but I went a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But something about the BART, it's like, it's obviously dependent on the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
But because San Francisco has such a vast difference in like people who are super rich and people who are super poor.
Yeah.
And like in San Francisco, like if you live really far away, it's like almost necessary for you to own a car. Like
definitely. Yeah.
It's not like in New York where you can get around anywhere without a subway. And so the people that are on public transport need public transport, and there's like no other alternative for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember BART tends to break down a lot. And so
same with the subway.
Yeah. But there's like vast distances. So it's not like in a city like New York where it's very densely populated, but it's also not the craziest distance away.
Yeah, you're talking about 3 miles versus
like
20.
15 to 20 miles.
Exactly. Exactly.
It sucked because the BART would shut down all the time, and you'd have these people that were stranded like 20 miles from their destination. So you'd have to call an Uber. But then when you go to call an Uber, it's like
up the price.
$150 because A, you live in San Francisco, and B, you also, everyone and their mother's calling an Uber right now. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I remember just like fucking hating public transport. Like that's why I'm so happy I live in Missouri now, because like I don't have to deal with that. But
and you have your car now and everything too. That's helpful. Yeah.
But it was crazy because Nigel and I lived in San Francisco, obviously during 2020 when COVID was like really ramping up. I'm sorry, I'm yawning so much, y'all. It's been a long day.
I hear.
And so we ended up having to take the BART one time because I needed to go into the office for something. And it is so weird and different now because everything shut down in San Francisco, like everything. And downtown feels like a graveyard of like businesses that have died. I know we started this conversation about BART, but I also need to like talk about a little bit of where San Francisco's at right now.
Yeah.
So like you would walk through San Francisco and you see these men and women in these high-end business suits go like looking fresh to the nines. They look amazing. Yep. And like obviously extremely poverty-stricken homeless people literally standing side by side. And it was the weirdest fucking scenario here where I was just like, there is no middle class anymore. It's like the people that are going into downtown right now. I mean, now it might be different, but back when like 2020 and like COVID was happening, are there people who really don't give a shit about COVID and have a fuck ton of money and know that they'll get through it? Or people who have no other
choice.
Means. Yeah. They have literally no choice but to take this BART, putting themselves at risk. And like, talk about it felt apocalyptic walking through downtown.
I've always felt like San Francisco feels apocalyptic. And here's the thing. New York City also has an incredibly large homeless population and a poor population and that kind of thing. But here's the thing. I said this earlier about the subway where there are plenty of places. And because the winters are harsher here than they are in San Francisco, there are plenty of places, whether they're shelters or places that people just find like vestibules and that kind of thing that they're going to sleep in for the night, right?
Yeah.
San Francisco is so temperate and warm comparatively. I've been there at all different times of the year. And every time I've looked out a hotel window, especially the one time I stayed in the Tenderloin because I didn't know any better. I would look outside and it literally looked like a zombie apocalypse, just people kind of aimlessly walking because they didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
And that to me like really hit home. It's like I grew up in one of the poorest areas of New York State, but for me, like I'm sure that there were homeless people, but they're in the country, right? I knew there were kids at my school who didn't have running water at home. I knew that there were kids that didn't have food security. And I knew that there were kids who had to like, take their showers when they got to school and do these different kinds of things. And I was surrounded with that. And that was my image of poverty because I didn't grow up in an urban place. It's very eye-opening when it's right in your face. And this is just kind of, if you feel safe to do so situation, one of the best things that you can do, and I'm not going to tell people to give their money or their time or whatever to people. That is a personal decision to make and that kind of thing. But one of the best things that you can do for a homeless person is smile at them and just kind of wave. If you feel safe to do so, you don't have to do that. But one of the best things you can do because it humanizes them in that moment and they feel seen. The amount of times I had a woman who came up to me on the subway a few months ago, and she was going one by one and saying, "You look beautiful today. Oh, I like your scarf." And she was just trying to be like nice and pleasant. And I said, "I like your dress today." And she started crying and she was like, "Thank you. It's my only clothes, and I know I want to try to keep it so it looks good." And she like broke down, and I was like, "You look really beautiful." And she said, "Thank you." And then she just kept working, and then she got off the train, and I don't know what the rest of her day did, but just that one statement I think really helped her feel seen. So we turned into a very serious like kind of like discussion.
Well, what I was going to say is, and because of this, that's how young women like Gracie are pregnant.
That's right. There's so much to this episode, so we probably should get right into it.
I want to talk about it because I honestly love this episode. It's so great.
I knew you would like it a lot. But even I, as somebody who has seen it many, many times, but hasn't watched it in about a half year, was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of meat on this bone. So
it was a juicy episode. So let's get into it. We are going to be covering The Nanny, season 2, episode 19. I forgot the name of the episode.
A Fine Friendship.
She was there That's how she became the nanny.
Okay, so I have something I have to admit to you. I'm a heterosexual.
Not again.
That's the second time I've had a co-host turn out to be straight.
I know. First Tyler. No, just kidding. I hope that Tyler hears that.
I know, right?
I know Tyler to be someone who just scrubs through the nanny episode so he can get things. So I'm on you.
Yeah, we know you, Tyler.
So, Dylan, A Fine Friendship. Was it a fine episode for you? What's your rating?
I would rate this episode an 8 out of 10. It was really good. Maybe even a 9 out of 10. I like this episode. I think this is my favorite story-based episode.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Like so far in the scheme of Fran. For several reasons, I think this is the best story episode yet so far.
Okay.
It moves the needle in a sense because it first off refers somewhat to older episodes and their stories, which is great. We have this mention of Brighton finally playing sports, something that was covered in
Canasta Master.
Yeah, in Canasta Master, which I was like, oh my God, finally, we're getting like a significant timeline. We're getting like a through line. We have even more references to Canasta Master in the sense that Brighton makes a joke about why are you on a team with old women, which is funny because Brighton was literally on a team with old women, older women, in Canasta Master. And I just really appreciated that. I also really appreciate Fran and Maxwell's relationship starting to develop here. Fran's starting to check out Maxwell. Maxwell's starting to check out Fran. And it's not done in a joking manner. It's done of, no, they're actually checking each other out.
Right.
Even though they're still like dumb when it comes to like knowing whether or not this is going to be a legitimate relationship, they are taking things to a place of, you're hot, I'm going to check you out.
Yes.
Which I like. There's
also a throwback to a joke similar to what Niles already said when trying to get the two of them to realize that he was like, oh dear. When he did the whole, like, that was my last apple, he did something similar to that in another episode, which I remember the criticism you had with that was, if he has to do this over and over and over, I'm going to be upset. But I think the difference between when he did it the first time and here is like this exact through line that you're talking about. That the two of them have made references that they're actually checking each other out. And now it makes more sense for Niles to play the knowing, house frau who is trying to get the two of them together,
I also really liked this episode because it had actual character development in the sense that Fran, even though she thinks Kurt is gay, and then when she finds out he's straight, is not crazy for this guy. She's not like dickmatized like she is every other time that a guy has kind of entered the scene. And she like is more level-headed about it. And I like it because Maxwell is starting to recognize that he is jealous, and he is like talking about it with Niles and saying, what's wrong with me? Something's off here. What's going on here? And as opposed to just like denying, he's actually like talking through his feelings, which I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And in my opinion, we get Gracie's best episode.
I was just going to say, how did you feel about Gracie? I mean, really, we get Brighton doing an impression, which we know he's like a child of, which was great, right? We get Gracie with a good story and some comedy and all that kind of stuff. Maggie's nowhere to be seen besides the very beginning. Who cares? So I totally agree. As I was watching this, I was like, oh, I hope this ticks the boxes for Dylan, because
a
lot of things that he's complained about in the past might be rectified, or he might be like doubling down on what he's saying with things. So, which is legitimate, I think. So,
yeah. I think it was a really good episode, and that little boy that was opposite of Gracie, I've seen in some movie, and it's driving me up a wall.
I know. I can't.
Like, I think it's a movie with a dog. Was it Beethoven?
He wasn't in. Was it Air Bud?
I don't know if it was Air Bud. It might have been Air Bud.
It's a dog movie.
It's definitely a dog movie. That kid was in some sort of dog movie.
The Nanny. I'm going to look him up and see if I can find it. So give me some more thoughts of this episode.
No, that wasn't that kid. I was like, this kid also kind of looks like the kid that was from Jumanji. Like,
I can see that.
When he's in the shoe factory. What?
He looks so weird now. Dude, okay. I'm going to link him in the chat here.
Okay. I have to react.
Okay, hold on. Oh, man. I did not actually. He still has the same hair. Just kidding.
He isn't like that weird.
No, but I was expecting to see a child because that's obviously the last time I saw him or whatever. That I was like,
in Jay and Silent Bob.
I know, Clerks.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I'm like scrolling through his things. And yes, when he was younger.
The first thing,
Honey,
we shrunk the kids.
Oh my God, that's it. Honey, we shrunk the kids.
Ourselves. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I watched the shit out of that as a kid.
Wow.
Oh my God. That just unlocked a memory. That was amazing.
That was wonderful. You really called I know him from this episode of House where
oh my God.
Yes. He's a teenager / young adult person. And this is where I saw him before. That I don't. Okay, that's interesting.
Continue. You know what? Work. He's still acting as of 2019. Make that money. Make that money, sir.
Make that money, baby.
Okay, but yes, this episode. So I want to talk about real quick. Maybe each character and things that I liked about it.
I think that makes sense.
So the nanny, Fran, I love all of these interactions with Kurt. It just further proves she's a gay icon, and this this scene kind of cements that. In the sense that she gets what Kurt is putting down, and she thinks that she has this amazing gaydar. Obviously, it backfires, and I had a feeling that was the direction they were going to go in with the episode. Yeah. But I liked that, even though I kind of expected it. I thought it was still hilarious, the execution of it.
Also cut back to me last week being like gay. And then I went, Beth, the whole point is that he's not gay. That's why I went, but maybe not that gay.
No, it was gay. Also, I'm so sorry, Kurt. That man looked like he was in his late 30s, early 40s. And they were trying to dress him up like Zach
from Saved by the Bell.
It was bad. When they zoomed in on his face, I was like, you look older than Maxwell. Yeah.
Cracked skin, baby.
Yeah, it was not cute. And I was like, he's supposed to be young. The way that he was talking, they dressed him up to be this young guy. And I'm like, he looks older than Maxwell.
I mean, he was man in crowd.
It's just, I don't know. I thought it was really well done. And I also really appreciated how we got to see a little bit of skin from Fran. We got to see a lot more fashion from Fran in this episode. And Fran was enjoying it. She was enjoying having Maxwell on top of her.
She first of all, she's like, let me not even shut my door if I'm going to be showing tops off to my gay friend. Then she finds out said gay friend is straight and is into her and has been looking at her, right?
Yeah.
Then they start macking at each other. Mr. Sheffield walks by, door's still open.
Yeah. She starts fingering herself and then she whips it out.
Well, the real thing that happened was that she started fingering Kurt's hole. And she was putting on her dildo. She was her strap on. And Mr. Sheffield walked in and went, and then presented himself. Yeah, and then
he showed his boonie hole.
He's in my boonie hole. And then Kurt said, ooh, that's too much competition for me. he has a boonie hole. And then he left. And then right when Maxwell said, no, let's flip the table. I'm going to get on top of you now. Niles walked by and said, if you let me tell Cece about this, I'll work for you for a year as your sex slave.
Yeah. Ow, 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 ow. And then
I honestly
camera and started filming.
I never caught how sexual that scene was when I was younger.
Oh, yeah. He's like on top of her. He's like pulling her clothes off. It was hot. I was like, oh my God.
Help me.
She's jumping up and down, like trying to get her boobs to jiggle. It's so funny.
I do love the moment where I think you should put it on. Oh, I tried it already. It already flies. Oh, Mr. Sheffield, why didn't you say anything? I didn't notice. Oh, I'm beginning to wonder about you too. Is like one of my favorites. Especially, I think that's one of the things that like you never actually see Maxwell ever fully be like, no, I'm a man and I like musical theater. Like he does for how misogynistic he is.
Yeah.
That is something that's really interesting. Like if people call out and are like, you literally put on revivals of Hello Dolly for a living. Like, what are you, what are you doing? He'll just be like, point taken. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's
He's
just
like, that is kind of gay.
I'm a little gay. That's okay.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. And I think Niles had a really good episode too this time. Like
yes. I want to talk about Niles when you're done with your point. Cause
that was my point.
That was it?
I thought Niles did great. And I think he's like hilarious.
So this is the beginning of what we're going to see for Niles for the rest of the run of the show.
You say that all the time.
No, I know. But I'm saying
you said for Niles. Never mind.
For Niles.
Okay. I heard you originally it went one ear out the other, and I think you said this is going to be the beginning of how the rest of the season's going to go.
No, I already said that.
I was like, oh, you said this like 5 times in the span of season 2.
This is, in my opinion, where they start to figure out, we could make Niles not just someone who like, we want to make Niles appear like he's all knowing because he's sneaky, because he overhears things, because he wants the tea and all that kind of stuff, right? We see him like have premeditated ways of how he's going to tell Cece about this. We see him like walking by with like looking into rooms, all that kind of stuff. This is a big moment for his character because he's no longer just going to be kind of like the uptight butler who wants to slack off but really can't and is just mean to Cece. Like that's a part of his character, but it's also going to turn into Niles, the fucking spy of the house.
Yeah.
And the comedy and creepiness that comes from that, you know? And that's what I think is really funny about it.
No, I think
creepiness in comedy. It's not like you never watch it and go, ugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought it was really well done, and I love the jabs between him and Cece in this episode. They're just so good. He's always making me laugh, and his facial expressions have gotten even crazier and crazier and crazier as we get further and further into season 2. These just a lot of like, ho.
This way of going, you know,
and then his like pursed lips look. He was like, he's like, oh, I didn't say anything.
And then he did like a really great, like, oh, I have such a fashion headache look. And it's like,
He said, this is for the Star Trek nerds out there. He said, my thoughts to your thoughts, my mind to your mind. Yeah. It's a Vulcan thing. You have no idea. That's like, yes.
I've never even seen a Star Trek movie, let alone the series. So
this show is so good.
My apologies.
No, it's very good. Very good. And the new season, Star Trek Discovery, very gay.
So gay. You've told me this before.
Very gay. Very gay, very black, which I'm here for. They need more diversity in Star Trek.
Another character who I know you already said a good episode, but just want to touch on her for a second. Cece has such a good physical comedy episode.
Freaking out.
Why? You know, I want to die. Now don't do anything rash as he puts the knife
in her bag.
Oh man. And you just see her, there's nothing that like Cece has needed no notes from day one. Like she's known her character from the get-go. And that's why I honestly think out of everyone in this cast, including Fran, I think that like Lauren Lane deserves all the props in the world for like literally being like, I know this character.
Oh, she knows that character inside and out. And
in what?
I'm so excited to see like where they take her character like in the future.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see like what kind of development's going to happen. Are they always going to have the same shtick for her? I don't think they will. I think they'll eventually like switch it up. But I am excited to see like where they take Miss Cece Babcock. My favorite joke from this, even though it was like so apparent where it was going, I still loved it, was, oh, he's clearly gay. We worked together for like a month and there was zero sexual tension. And then like, I almost thought it would have been funnier if they just like looked at each other and went, but I love that Niles is like,
duh.
Well, duh.
The way you said it was so out of character that's why I think it's funny.
That's why it's funny. Yeah, because it's very out of character.
Yeah.
I love her. She's just so good, and I can't wait to see more. And that's same with like, I want to give props to Gracie. Amazing in this episode. The pregnant jokes were fucking on fire. When I saw the setup and realized where the plot was going, didn't guess it at all. And I was just like, oh my God, shut up. She's going to think she's pregnant. And they really, really play house here. And she's just like got her feet up.
That's one of my favorite lines from the episode is when Fran walks by and goes, do those kids know how to play house or what? Because she's like, I can't have a baby right now. I can't support it or something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay. I also love she's just like got her legs up on a fucking pillow, leaning back, like total pregnancy woman thing to do. You're like, my fucking ankles are swollen. I need to raise them.
I'm so nauseous and my ankles are swollen. And I was just that's just me on a day-to-day basis.
Right? I was like, they had to tell poor Gracie to say these lines. She had no fucking clue what it was about.
Oh my God. For sure. It is funny though. Did you ever have like absolutely wild misconceptions around that age about like pregnancy and that kind of thing?
Let me tell you, not about pregnancy. I knew how babies were made, but okay.
How young did you learn how babies were made?
Okay.
That's not a judgment. I'm genuinely curious.
I'm pretty sure I learned because of sex ed. But I learned at like 5th, 6th grade. Maybe even before that. I truly can't remember.
Yeah.
Like the full intricacies of how a baby's made. Like besides a man has sex with a woman. So this actually ties to Scary Movie. So the very first Scary Movie, if you go and you watch the director's cut, there is a scene.
Sex ed program.
It actually might have been in the original film. I'm not sure. Because it's been like the TV version, I think, uses the director's cut version. But there's a scene where he's talking about how he hasn't been laid in forever, the boyfriend of Cindy. They decide to have sex. And he ejaculates so hard that she goes flying up into the ceiling. And I, as a young kid watching this, I was like, what is that? I thought it was milk. And I was like, what is that? That's such a dumb joke. So I remember I had watched Scary Movie by myself. Didn't tell my parents at all. My parents didn't give a shit. So we watched it once together, and that scene comes on, and my grandma and my mom start laughing. And I'm like, yeah, it's funny. It's milk. And my mom is like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's milk. And she's like, honey, no, that's cum. And she said something along those lines.
I can't honey, no, that's cum. And you were how old again? Like 10?
Oh, no. So I was a very sheltered child in that sense. I was probably in 6th grade. So
11.
like 11, like I didn't make the connection.
Yeah,
I knew what semen was, but I didn't make the connection of like that's what this was. So she tells me that, and I'm like, oh, sure, yeah. But I didn't.
It would have been great if you went, Mom, I meant baby milk.
Mommy milk. He puts the milk in the mommy. So I was kind of sheltered in the sense that like I didn't know what a lot of like sexual stuff was until like 8th grade of middle school. Like I didn't know anything. So here's another story. There's this girl that used to ride on my bus, and she was really nice, this really cool girl. We ended up winning like a Future City competition together like later in the year. But her name was Betty, and it was like Betty and then her other friend. And so at my school, at my middle school, instead of like having a chalkboard that they would write the menu on for the day for lunch, they would use like a letter board, and they'd spell out what it was that was going to be for lunch. So always there was PB&J sandwiches.
Okay.
But kids would steal the P out of PB&J and
so
the A and maybe a BJ sandwich. I never understood the joke.
Gotcha,
I never got it. It flew over my head. So one day I mentioned to Betty, and I'm like, I don't get this. Why does it say BJ sandwich? And she's like, do you not know what BJ means? I said, no. She's like, oh, the other girl was like, yeah, her nickname was like BJ Betty in middle school. They didn't explain what BJ meant to me.
In middle school?
In middle school. So, I went to raunchy ass middle school. So then in lunch,
I say this as if a kid in my class in 6th grade didn't get pregnant, but whatever.
Oh, I had a girl in 4th or 5th grade get pregnant. It was insane. Yeah.
9?
No, 12.
That's 7th grade.
No.
Yeah.
She must have been held back. She definitely wasn't. This was definitely an elementary school. There was a girl definitely pregnant in elementary school.
Must have been.
She had to have been held back because like she definitely was pregnant.
Yeah. 4th grade's around 9 years old. 5th grade's 10, that kind of thing.
It was insane. Like I couldn't believe she was pregnant.
Regardless.
Yeah,
so
regardless.
Go back to BJ
okay.
Betty here.
So yes, I'm at lunch and I yell to her across the lunchroom, yo, BJ Betty, sit over here. The look of anger that this woman exuded, she rushed over to me. She's like, what the fuck did you just call me? And I was like, BJ Betty, that was your nickname, right? She's like, don't you ever fucking call me that. And I was like, but you told me that was your nickname. And I was like, I don't understand what the big deal is. And she's like, do you not know what BJ means? I was like, no, I already told you I don't know what this means. So it means blowjob. I didn't know what blowjob meant.
I thought until I graduated from high school that a blowjob is when you just blew on a penis. So
I didn't know anything. So they had explained to me in detail what a blowjob was. And I was like, oh, I turned red. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I fucking understood that. Late bloomer to the game. So that's me. 8-bit.
If it makes you feel better, I learned 2 short stories here. I learned about they always did that thing in like 4th grade where they took the boys and the girls and separated them out to like learn about puberty, like that you'd be going through. But which I don't agree with. I think everyone should, first of all, you don't know what people's gender is. They could, they could be trans. So there's that. Secondly, I think that like I would have benefited as a girl from learning about what was going to go on with boys and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But we were told, like, I just remember being in 4th grade and learning about period. Now, let me tell you, when you learn about a period for the first time, the look of horror,
you're not ready.
The look of horror on all of us as we're watching this tape, and we're like, blood's coming where?
She's
why?
What?
And they're like, also you might experience cramping, back pain, hunger, like mood swings, depression, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what? Like once? They're like, every month for the rest of your like fucking life. And we're like, we didn't sign up for this. What the fuck? Like it was so stupid. And then we got back and like the teachers said, don't tell any of the boys what you were told today. I remember this, that we were specifically told that we could not tell the boys. So naturally we're like, what did you guys have to learn about? They're like, yeah, like our balls are going to drop. And I didn't know what balls were. And I was just like, okay, whatever. So I had no idea what the fuck was going on until I got into like 7th grade basic biology, reproductive system kind of stuff. And I was like,
oh my God,
oh, that makes more sense. Now cut to AIM being a thing when I'm in middle school, learning about the reproductive system, going through puberty. Also, there's that moment, I don't care who you are, although it's probably different because the kids today dress so much better. But if you were a millennial girl, you did not carry a purse until you started your period. And then that was the telltale sign that you started my period.
Like, I'm a woman, honey.
It was like we are taught to be embarrassed by it from the get-go. So I was embarrassed that I had a purse that had like pads in it. And so I would be carrying my purse to school, and the amount of times I bled through clothes and such was a lot. But I just remember having my purse and then like remember trying to be like, yeah, I carry a purse now. Like it's a normal thing that I do. Like
it's normal. I'm a normal human being. I don't know if you knew this.
Yeah. But the last other thing was that I actually learned a lot about sex from AIM chat rooms.
Okay, same.
And
after this whole
the guilt I had from that, because my parents didn't ever really talk to me about sex. My mom talked to me about like puberty.
Yeah.
And I remember her being like, when you feel like you need a razor for your armpits, you let me know. And like, if you want to learn about like washing your face because of pimples, you let me know, like that kind of thing. But my parents didn't, the extent of it was like, if you have questions, ask us. But I was like, I'm not gonna fucking ask my parents a question. Like it was so
like,
weird.
All of a sudden I want to put my mommy milk in someone's mommy hole. It's like,
did I have I said this story on, I told you about why are gym teachers the health teachers as well? Have I told you this story about when the Planned Parenthood woman came in with my gym teacher, what he did?
Oh.
We walk in. We are 13, 14 years old. We walk in, Planned Parenthood ladies there to teach us how to put condoms on and to like go through, birth control and all that kind of stuff, right? She has a clear plastic model of the vagina and the uterus and the fallopian tubes and all that kind of stuff.
She goes like this. Oh no.
We're walking into the classroom. This woman has apparently said, I need to go use the restroom or something in between periods while people are coming there. I sit down and all of my classmates are there. And we also see, there's the plastic model of the penis, right? So even if you didn't know by first glance what it was, let's make assumptions here. Our gym teacher, a male, married with 2 kids, picks it up and goes, I don't even know what this is. And then proceeds to finger it. And by putting his finger in the vagina, and then it breaks apart and falls on the ground. And we all just look at him. As the woman walked in, she goes, what were you doing? And he goes, I don't know. And she goes, did you just break my vagina? That is stuck with me for 20 fucking years. And then we were learning how to put condoms on, and this man turned to one of the kids and went, don't worry about it. Once you actually get a girlfriend, you won't have to learn how to use a condom anymore.
And that's why he had 2 kids.
Is that girl?
Right? Jeez. Oh my God.
Moments.
So anyway. The worst sex ed teacher ever. Okay. Let's get into my MVP and LVP though.
Yeah. Tell me your MVP. And we also need the outfit of the episode because there was
outfit of the episode was absolutely that leather jacket.
I knew it was going to be
the washers in it. This was the episode of washers. There was like washers in two of her outfits.
She also
there was like washers with like a sheer fabric.
What I also like about that jacket look, that leather jacket, is that it had like those cute like black shorts with like the tights underneath, like the black stockings, but the cut of the shorts was that they were higher on the outside than they were on the inside. And I thought it looked so angular and cute. It was so good.
It was very flattering.
It made her look curvier, which, you know, she's very thin. So it did a good job.
We saw her in a brassiere, so we knew. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I think this outfit of the episode definitely goes to the black leather jacket. MVP for this episode is
this is gonna be good.
It's gonna be so dumb. To Willie. Because he was gonna stay there as a father.
You better work.
Regardless.
That 8-year-old had more parental power than half of the people in this country.
No, I can't give it to Willie. He was a side character.
You can give it to whoever you want.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to Willie for the meme.
You better work. I think that's a great one.
Yeah. He didn't even know what the fuck a baby was for the most part. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna help raise this baby.
I like that his first reaction was, I better get a job. And he didn't even question his partner. Was like, you know what? I'm gonna trust this woman right here next to me.
Yeah, we slept in the same bed. We got
slept in the same bed. Therefore, that was, I mean, let's be honest. That's some straight up king energy that he gave.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. That, like, if they actually had a kid and they were still together to this day, he's getting vagina on the regular.
Do you think you're going to see Willie again?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we're going to see, mostly because I saw the IMDb of how many episodes this kid's in.
Well, the character, maybe not the same actor.
No, true.
They do recast a few characters. I will say this as like but there's a few people that you've seen that won't be played by the same person.
Oh, okay. Again. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming Danny is one of them. I have a feeling that they're going to recast Danny because Jonathan Penn, I feel like, or Penner isn't going to be in it for the long haul. But my LVP would probably have to go to both Nanny or Fran and Maxwell in this episode.
Okay,
because of the workplace harassment, honey.
It went both ways.
It went both ways.
Also, they both assumed a person's sexuality.
They did.
And treated them differently because of it.
That's true.
To a certain extent is fine. You want to be honoring somebody's experiences and that kind of thing, but not like base your whole interaction off of one part of who they are.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of rash judgments.
They did. They made a lot of rash judgments, and the only reason I joke about the workplace harassment is because like clearly there's like consenting on both sides. They really kind of enjoy it, but still it like makes it awkward for people like Niles and the family because it's like they're doing it in front of
Niles because he's like, hello.
And Nanny's doing it in front of the kids. She's like, hey, turn around. You have a rip in these jeans. Oh, JK, it's good. Like,
yeah.
Remember when she cupped his balls and she's like, cough, you little fucking pig.
And then he went.
Yeah. And then he got on all fours on the counter and she just like started fingering his hole. It was weird. It was a deleted scene.
Said, you don't have a tail? I'm going to get you one.
You had to see it on HBO Max.
You know what? It is funny though. So Fran admitted like on an interview or a tweet or something the other day that she's like, you know what? I've actually turned on a few episodes of The Nanny and I've been laughing out loud. Like, it's actually a really funny show. And I was like, that's what we've been saying, Fran, get in our level.
Yeah. Geez, Fran. It's a great show. Fucking recognize it.
But you know what's even greater?
What?
Next week.
Because we got a double episode.
We have Kirsten McInnes is going to join us.
Yeah.
And we have 2 amazing episodes. Like one is, I think, weaker than the other. But one of them has one of the most iconic scenes of the entire series. People have been waiting for us to get to episode 21. So I'm going to tell you the name of these 2 episodes. And then I want to hear. One of them is almost self-explanatory. And that's why I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. So I just want to make sure I get it absolutely right. Because in my head, I think I know what it is. But I just want to make sure. Okay. So the first one is lamb chops on the menu.
Okay. So I know for a fact lamb chop shows up in the Nanny, like the character lamb chop, because there is like an iconic photo of Fran Drescher posing with pork chop.
Yep. Pork chop?
You say pork.
The drag queen. Shut up.
That is so stupid.
Oh my God. I know for a fact, there's an iconic photo of Fran Drescher with pork chop. I hope to God, if there's somebody out there who does know a photo between the legendary icon herself, pork chop, and the legendary icon herself, Fran Drescher, y'all need to tag the shit out of us in that.
Please.
Oh my God, that was hysterical. But continue on about lamb chop.
Yes. So what I think is going to happen is I remember lamb chop being a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering.
Did you watch it?
I've seen a few episodes when I was younger. I always got weirded. I got weirded out by it. It's like very like just positive vibes, like those streamers, but like in a television form.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so I think they go on the set of Lamb Chop and the entire episode. What's the name of it again?
Lamb chops on the menu.
Okay. So I think they're going to go onto the set of Lamb Chop.
Okay.
And the kids, like she's like touring them around. It has something to do with like maybe there's like a deal that Maxwell has with like a television studio or something like that. And so they happen to be there. Lamb Chop's there, the set's there, all that jazz. Lamb Chop, the puppet, goes missing. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes a mystery of who stole Lamb Chop, where is Lamb Chop, and that's like the whole bit about it. I don't know. It's not the strongest.
That is not too far off, to be perfectly frank with you. That's a pretty good guess, I will say.
Okay.
The second one, which is one of my top 5 episodes of this entire series, is called Close Shave.
Oh, okay. I think that this is the episode where Fran and Maxwell finally spill their feelings. Mm-hmm. I think that what's going to happen in this episode, it's going to there's going to be some sort of situation. Okay, this is how I see it in my brain. This is probably not what's going to happen. Something is going to happen that is going to force Fran and Maxwell to have to share their feelings and talk to each other. What I could see it being is maybe Niles having an intervention with the both of them because he's sick and tired of them not getting it. He's like, okay, you clearly fucking want to fuck her. You clearly want to fuck him. Like, I'm done. I'm over it. Yeah, he's like over it. And so the entire episode leading up to that point is a will they, won't they to the 10th degree.
Yeah.
Like everything that we've gotten thus far in the show amplified to an extreme. So there's like, they're found in like compromising sexual positions that aren't actually sexual. There's like lots of lewd and crude humor in the episode. And then at the end of the episode, it leaves off with a cliffhanger of will they, won't they?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on this one.
Oh, I'm excited.
I am so excited, and I'm excited to have Kirsten on too because she's a good time. And
Kirsten.
I can't wait because if she does not agree with you on an opinion, she will go, I don't think so. She'll let you know, and that's what I can't wait for. But she loves The Nanny, so she has watched it a lot and has told me from the beginning of when I was talking about doing this. She said, "Hey, if you ever need anyone for The Nanny, you let me know." So I said, "Well, I need someone who is funny and hilarious and loves The Nanny to come on for these 2 episodes in particular."
Hell yeah, I'm excited.
So we're excited to have her. So yeah, be on the lookout for that next week. But we also cover Lost, so make sure that you tune in on Thursday where we're going to be covering the next 1 episode or 2 episodes.
Yes, then the next episode, which is Dave.
That's right. So we're going to cover that, and then next week we start in with our double episodes as much as we can do.
From here on out, you're going to get double episodes.
Otherwise, it was going to be this podcast lasts 10 years to cover a show that Beth and Dylan both want to binge. So
that's basically the thing here is we just want to binge. We just want to binge.
But Dylan, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
You can find me at 8-Bit Dylan online. That's on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You name it, I'm there, baby. Where can they find me?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on all my social media channels, including Twitch. And now, the day that this is coming out, I'm just putting it out there, we're doing a stream together with Mario Party.
We are.
Nigel, which is Dylan's husband, and then Coder Girl Shan, who is an amazing friend, Chanel. She's also part of my team, Level Up. What up? So come check us out if you have the opportunity. And be sure to follow Hot Mess Moments on Twitter so you can get up to date with all of when our episodes come out and fun moments and such.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Thank you all so much for listening in. We will see you next week with another, with that amazing coverage of those 2 episodes of The Nanny. And until then, stay awesome, stay beautifully and lovely, people. Bye.